for their 8th consecutive victory tonight at Rogers Arena in downtown Vancouver. Our Dobbs starting goaltenders, Brian Elliott, has been unbelievable this year with 1 loss in regulation. And the Swedish rookie Eddie Lack goes for Vancouver. He allowed 4 goals his last start against Pittsburgh. Max Lapierre is back in Vancouver. The Blues are set to go. And Blues hockey brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. As the Blues come in, Schwartz a quick backhander, and that goes wide. Schwartz on with Backus and Oshie against Chris Higgins, Ryan Kessler, and Zach Kassian. Here's Shattenkirk. He delays a bit, sends it down low. Now for Schwartz, handed on to Backus. And now for Oshie, who has a lot of family and friends on hand tonight from nearby Everett, Washington. And the Canucks sail it high to center ice. Higgins tracks it down. Gets it by Shattenkirk, now in front, off the pad of Elliott. And Kevin Bieksa. He'll play it deep, played by Jackman, who reverses now for Shattenkirk.
Yeah, very good reverse there. Settle things down. The Vancouver Canucks wanted to go for a line change. Higgins heads off. And while the Blues are trying to regroup as well, you reverse the flow and take your time and get things established. And so we are this early in the hockey game, and it brings us now to our Toyota keys to the game. And prepare for a storm early. We fully expect that with a team that hasn't won in 5. And funnel pucks to the net from all over. You've got a rookie goaltender in Eddie Lack, who's in his last 4 has given up 15 goals against. So you want to test his confidence, especially with pucks right around his feet.
Of course, the Blues played last night and won in Calgary. 5-0. It's always tough to play back-to-back, but don't forget you did gain an hour getting to Vancouver last night. The Blues were in bed about 12:30 Pacific time. And Hitchcock did a great job last night coaching that win. The top line played only 14 minutes and change.
Totally agree with you. I mean, he was easy on the roster, and there were several moments where we didn't see TJ Oshie in that third period coming off that knee deep bone bruise that he had. So he liked the fact that there was a high level of energy both this morning and last night arriving at the hotel. It's a group of guys that are having a whole lot of fun playing hockey right now.
Yeah, a lot of energy, and as Hitch says, a great spirit on this club right now. Now the Canucks and Jason Garrison on the boards for Daniel Sedin, lobbed ahead. This is Mike Santorelli, and his shot is off the back of the Blues goal. Santorelli is out with the Sedin twins, and now Sobotka tips it down the ice, and Berglund will get there first. Patrick Berglund, plenty of time in front for Tarasenko, and that was broken up by Garrison. And now Garrison punches one to center, and a turning Ian Cole has it for St. Louis.
Now, good play by Garrison. He read that reverse by Tarasenko, and his stick blade was right there.
Now Cole, who had a goal last night for the Blues, into Payarvi. He cuts in, backhander, sticked away by Lack, and then Leopold drops it back. Lapierre can't hold it in, and now Payarvi gets back, and the first man back defensively, on to Ryan Reeves. And he sends it in. Frank Corrado back for the Canucks. And what a hit by Reeves on the far side. And that was on the Canuck player, Yannick Weber. And the Blues at center ice. And they get it deep. Lapierre, he'll dump it in and go off on a line change. 2.5 gone by first period, no score.
Well, in case you missed it, and Andy Strickland did interview Ryan Reeves in the pregame show, but he just comes off a new 4-year deal worth $4.5 million. So he is really advanced, and not surprised that he's got his wheels going here.
Now Stewart, speaking of wheels, and a backhander and a save by Lack. And Stewart almost scored again. He had the first goal last night in Calgary. And now the Flames get the puck to center ice. And Christopher Tanev in for Dalpe. And that shot is on goal, and a glove save by Elliott, and no further play.
Good save there by Brian Elliott. You want to calm things down as much as possible, but for Ryan Reeves, really, he's got such great strength in his skating ability. Our Plaza Tire Service replay shows Chris Stewart is so very good on the backhand, but he can't elevate that one short side. Here's Reeves, first forward in, make sure he eliminates the man. And although that hit doesn't appear to be too much early on, as the game wears down, when a defenseman like Weber knows that the big fella's coming at him, you never know if a player's going to cough that puck up in an important situation.
And off the face-off, the Blues control it. And Jaden Schwartz. And that's a bouncer back to the Canuck line. And then thrown the other way by Garrison. And no icing here. Leopold for Cole. Comes up the boards for Oshie. And then Garrison pinches in. Again, the healthy scratches tonight for the Blues. Carlo Koliakovo and Adam Cracknell. Pollock is on the trip, and we expect him to return Tuesday against Phoenix.
Yeah, he does look very, very good in practice, that's for sure.
Well, meet your favorite Blues players with tonight's ticket deal of the game that includes 4 all-inclusive Bommarito Automotive Club seats, a player meet and greet, and much more. The first 10 viewers to order a Meet the Blues package during tonight's game will receive a limited edition Brett Hull Crystal Puck. Order right now. Call Scott at 622-BLUE.
Tuesday night at Scottrade, the Phoenix Coyotes venture into town.
Start of a 3-game homestand for the Blues. And we expect another big crowd on hand as the Canucks tip one to center ice. Again, the Sedins on the ice. They play about 21 minutes on average to this line. As John Tortorella, the former Ranger coach, he likes to really run his top players a lot. That's dumped in by Pietrangelo. And then Tanev overskates at Berglund centers. Oh, a shot by Tarasenko. And a save by Lack. And the Canucks ice it. And it hit a blue on the way down, so no icing here.
Pretty good scoring chance right there. Eddie Lack a little bit sloppy, a little bit nonchalant there in front of the net with that loose puck.
And now Payarby, cross corner for Reeves. On the cycle for Lapierre, who played 2.5 years here and, of course, went to the final with the Canucks in 2011. Now Payarby emerges, and his shot hit the outside of the goal. Reeves again, and at the line, that's tipped by Jackman. And erased Jackman, diving, gets it away from Sestito. And that was a heads-up play by Jackman. Now pass to center. It's Payarby. Trying to tip it by Corrado. And they go to the end wall. And then Weber has his pocket picked by Reeves. Now on for Derek Roy. Now Roy trying to funnel the puck in front. Assisted on the game winner last night to Reeves. A blast and a save by Lack. On a rocket by Reeves.
That's a good setup there. See, Ryan Reeves puts himself as the third man high in the offensive zone. And now he's in a scoring position, but he's also in a great defensive position as well. You get so many chances when you're on that defensive side of it. But here's the play behind the net by Derek Roy. Now he's waiting. Look at Ryan Reeves got his stick on the ice. Now he's going to pull back a little bit more here. Now he's in a quiet scoring area. Great pass there by Derek Roy. And a better save there by Eddie Lack. Great start for Ryan Reeves.
Mitch said the game has really slowed down for Ryan Reeves in the last year or so. And congratulations on his new 4-year deal. Shots are 5-1 for the Blues. No score. And this is Zach Dalpe. He was out of Ohio State. Now back on the line, BX, a long shot. That's blocked by Leopold. Up the boards to Morrow. Can't tip it out. Comes to Archibald, a shot. And that's well wide. And now Morrow again. Went for a reverse hit on Weiss.
Yes, he did.
And missed him. But now it comes on to Derek Roy.
He might be leading the league in reverse hits this year. Brendan Morrow. Not showing any signs of slowing down whatsoever. He's doing a magnificent job of patrolling the boards, doing what Brendan Morrow does best throughout his NHL career.
And picking up offensively with 9 points in his last 13. Picked off at center ice by Backus. Now Backus into Oshie. Seems he always plays well in this building. Now Backus again.
He's got Grandma Oshie here from Everett, Washington. How can you not play well when she's there? A lot of pressure on you.
Absolutely. Now Oshie with it. Long shot, got through, and a save by Lack. And the rebound is cleaned up by Bieksa. And then Cassian hammers it around the end boards. There's Jackman. 2 Canucks surround him. And now Oshie goes up the middle and back to center ice. And now the Blues make a change on the fly. Christopher Tanev had a goal in their last game. Higgins sends it in, now turning is Shattenkirk. Nice pass quickly to Sobotka. And he cuts to the middle, and that just put Berglund offside. And that was close. Good start for the Blues, but we're scoreless in Vancouver.
A Stanley Cup champion in 2004 with Tampa Bay. He creates a lot of competitive tension within his club. He keeps them on their edge. and he's done a great job on the defensive side of the puck, but he's also a coach that puts a lot of emphasis and onus on your top players. And the prior minutes of Henrik, Daniel, and Ryan Kesler are 3 to 4 minutes above what they normally would play. It's a lot of minutes, and to me, the players want to be on the ice. They want to have more minutes, and you know as a coach when you're overplaying them and they're out of gas, and that's when you balance it out. But why wouldn't you want to have those players on the ice as much as possible?
Tortorella coaching in his 900th NHL game tonight. Now it is Daniel Sedin, and he went to center it, but fanned on it. Then Jay Bouwmeester, who will see a lot of these Sedin twins. It goes off the glass, I believe.
It went off the glass, yeah.
And they're going to discuss things, but from my perspective and vantage point, that hit the glass on the way out.
Yeah, so Denny LaRue, the veteran referee, was actually pointing to a minor penalty, but he got some help with his partner, the other referee for tonight's game, Chris Rooney, and Rooney waved it off. There's a play by Bouwmeester. It goes off the shaft of the stick. You can see the stick of Santorelli just collapse. And for Jay Bouwmeester, the Olympian, the face-off now in the neutral zone because it went off the Canucks stick.
And now it goes back to Corrado.
And right away, Pietrangelo and Bouwmeester off the ice because Brad Shaw, who runs the blue line, doesn't want them going up against that line that's on the ice, led by Sestito. He wants them on the ice against the top line of Daniel Sedin, Henrik Sedin, and Mike Santorelli. So good change on the fly there by the man that's responsible for the defensive side of the bench for the St. Louis Blues, Brad Shaw.
And if you can tell those Sedins apart,
I talked to Dan today.
Sharper than me.
I did talk to Dan today.
Are you sure it was Dan?
I'm positive it was Dan because I said, hey, Dan. It's 50-50 chance.
And now it's lobbed ahead by Jannik Hansen. And, of course, they will be teammates with Berglund and Steen at the Olympics. Now the Blues to center ice. And Derek Roy. And he'll chip it in deep. And then Garrison steers it back of the goal now for Bieksa. Their 5th-round pick in 01. Always plays a tough game. Sestito trying to get it in. And now Jackman turns it the other way. And on to center ice for Morrow. Hansen gets it back for Darren Archibald. Working on Shattenkirk. Archibald now pinned by Lapierre. And then a pitchfork back of the goal by Bieksa for Weiss. Now Weiss, who was a healthy scratch in the last game. Through the line to Garrison. Now to Bieksa. High shot. That's knocked down, I believe, by Shattenkirk. And it goes out of the zone. And now Morrow will slow it down.
Yeah, there was some expectation that maybe David Booth, who's also a healthy scratch the last one, would get in the lineup, but he is a scratch for tonight's game.
And now Payarvi swings back on the Canuck goal. Payarvi trying to get the puck to the front. Instead, back on the goal for Reeves, who's had the best Blues chance so far. And now the Canucks break it up, and it comes to center ice. Here's Reeves recovering. Punched in by Lapierre, and he heads off on a line change. And now Ryan Kesler, who scored in overtime in St. Louis this year. Backus gets it back in for Schwartz. Back to Backus, and a shot. That was blocked by a Canuck stick. Schwartz centers it. And there's Cassian now for Garrison. Long pass intended for Higgins. That goes the distance. And icing called here against Vancouver. Well, the Cards winter warm-up returns January 18th through the 20th. Current players and Hall of Famers will be on hand, and Fox Sports Midwest will be there with player interviews. Every dollar raised goes to Cardinals Care. So get your tickets at cardinals.com/winter warm-up or visit the team store. Blues win the faceoff. Here's Pietrangelo. He works in a wrist shot. That may have hit Backus. He goes down. The Blues won 61% of the draws in the first meeting between these clubs. And Vancouver is a very good face-off team. And now around the goal, it's Schwartz. To Pietrangelo. Low shot. And a stick save by Lack. Now Bouwmeester. Out high to Oshie. Oshie into Pietrangelo. That shot blocked. Bouwmeester trying to feed one through the slot. And now Pietrangelo again. And he waited a bit too long, and then it was knocked away to center ice. And Higgins was knocked down by Backus.
Yeah, good battle there by David Backus. The fans wanted a call, but that was a good one-on-one battle there.
And a shot by Schwartz. An easy glove save there for Eddie Lack. In a stoppage just past the 10-minute mark in the first period, no score.
And welcome back to Vancouver. So much talk about the job the Blues forwards are doing offensively, but the same can be said about their defense, led by their big three of Jay Bouwmeester, Alex Pietrangelo, and Kevin Shattenkirk. They've combined for 89 points on the season, and it certainly helps when you have a successful power play, as in the case of Kevin Shattenkirk, whose 17 power play points are good for second in the NHL among all defensemen, but they're not taking any shortcuts either. They also combined for a plus 49 on the year, guys.
And Andy, thank you for that. Those 89 points are two more than the entire defense had last year in the 48-game season, just by those three alone.
Well, the attack's diversified. The defensive responsibility now that Bouwmeester's here as a full-time member.
Well, Berglund trying to hit Bouwmeester.
You can see that play developing from here. The weak side defenseman. It was just a matter of whether or not Tarasenko could get the puck to big Jay Bouwmeester there.
And now Bouwmeester again. Hard pass for Berglund. That is just offside at the Canuck line.
Now Berglund got caught a little standing still right there. But you talk about most points by D-men, and Chicago Blackhawks get a lot of theirs, obviously, from Seabrook and Duncan Keith. The Blues right there, 122. Ottawa Senators, 107. And there's the Phoenix Coyotes at 101. We'll see them on Tuesday. Led by their fine defenseman, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and one of the great guys in the game, Keith Yandel.
Shots are 8-1 in favor of the Blues. Now it is Reeves. He gets knocked down but sweeps it in. And then Weber back of the goal. Lapierre gets it for the Blues, trying to put it in a slot area. That was knocked away. And now chopped down the ice by Higgins. Jackman against Richardson. And then Reeves helps out. There's Weber, the Canuck defense. They love to pinch in the offensive zone. Gave up a lot of odd man rushes the other night against Pittsburgh. Hansen fakes it. Now fires it. That's blocked by Payarvi.
Oh,
and he blocked another one.
Great job by Payarvi. He's really coming into his own here.
And now it's Kevin Shattenkirk. And that does come to center ice. Penguins had 9 odd man rushes in the first 2 periods the other night. As Lack plays it. And ahead for Sestito. That's kept in by the Blues, but now Morrow has his stick lifted. And they have to reload at center ice. Again, Lack tees it up. Lack missed most of last year, the second half, with a bad hip after it needed some surgery in January. So Eddie Lack last year in the minors only played about 13 games. Now Hamhuis, wrist shot. It got through, and a tricky one for Elliott. And he has it in the mitt.
Tough to find that through traffic. The wave is going to Elliott's right, and he ends up making that save to his left. So good hand-eye coordination, focus on the puck by Brian Elliott from our Plaza Tire Service replay. And Brian Elliott spends a lot of time. He juggles 3 tennis balls. He throws balls against the wall, always working on his concentration and his focus. You just can't take your eye off the puck. A lot of times, you have no choice. But once you see the puck leave the stick, you get a good indication of how high or how low it is.
Canucks control this face-off now. Back for Daniel Sedin. And then thrown back of the goal. It's Henrik. Out high now for Tanev. A drive. That's blocked by Oshie. And then kept in by Daniel. Here's Delpy with it. On with the Sedins. Delpy trying to center one. Hits a stick. Hamhuis can't hold it in, and now Backus. And he raises it with Schwartz. To Schwartz, and he can't knock it out of midair as he beat Hamhuis to the net. And now it comes to Henrik Sedin to his brother. Daniel tips it on. Delpy going wide, and a low shot. Taken care of by Elliott.
Good play there as the exchange on the rush start to pick up here. But last night's game in Calgary, there was some debate as to whether or not Pietrangelo or number 21, Patrick Berglund, scored this goal. It went off Boma's stick, then it bounced down like a lacrosse ball, as I mentioned last night. But upon further review, and our Hall of Famer Bernie Federko talked about it last night in the post-game show, it did glance off the shaft of the stick of Patrick Berglund. So even the NHL, they had it, they changed it, they didn't correct it, and now they're going back to Berglund. So that'll be his 100th NHL goal.
And speaking of Berglund, feeds it in front. That was knocked down by Santorelli. Kept in by Jackman. That shot blocked. Trickles to Sobotka. Little Vladdy in front. A shot by Berglund on goal. And a good save by Lack.
What a pass by Vladdy Sobotka. He's looking one way, disguising it as if he's going back to the point, and then he just slides it right between the toe of the skate and the stick. Our Plaza Tire Service replay. Patience of Sobotka looking one way, quick little pass, small area games right there. And boy, have they shown some wonderful cohesion. Enough that Berglund has gotten moved over to the left wing, as we've mentioned many times, and Sobotka at the center ice position.
And Sobotka has tied his career high with points in 4 straight. Tarasenko to Sobotka. Pass tipped on goal by Berglund. And a good pad save there by Lack.
Lack had to be sharp. Lack 6'4".
Now stolen by Berglund, and he centers it, but no Blues player was there. And Cole rides it right back in. Now play to the corner for Jason Garrison. Canucks up the middle, and Cassian is knocked down by Payarvi. Leopold to Payarvi. That goes into the Canuck bench, and then back in play with 6:25 left.
Well, for Magnus Payarvi, he's, as I mentioned, coming into his own, but fitting in with a new group, new system, the demands for winning. The one thing Payarvi has told us time and time again is it is a lot of fun coming to the rink knowing you're supposed to win games. The expectation, the internal competition. But here's the shot block on his last shift. He drags a right leg. Doesn't just block the one, he blocks another one there, both by Jannik Hansen. So those are the kind of plays that they don't appear to be that large on the, but boy, when you go back to the bench and you've got 15 guys tapping on the shin pads telling you great job, you feel like you're a huge part of the team.
The Blues had 20 blocks last night in that 5-0 win. Led by Petrangelo's 4. Now Reeves in there. Jab to center ice by Henrik Sedin. Now Bouwmeester for Pietrangelo. Wide open is Reeves, and he just gets a stick on that and gets it deep and goes off on a change. And Lack almost went out of that trapezoid area there. Now Corrado a pass all the way down. Bouwmeester gets there ahead of Daniel Sedin. And then Derek Roy back of the goal. Now Roy on for Stewart. Morrow was interfered with a bit by Hamhuis, who got away with one. And now Hamhuis gets up. Tipped by Daniel, but punched back to center ice by Bouwmeester. Now the Canucks slowly back in there. Wanted away by Elliott. Puck to the deep slot, kept in there by Hamhuis. And around for Henrik Sedin. Now Roy picks his pocket. Derek Roy chips it, and that puck does roll to the neutral zone. 5:15 to go first period. Shots 10-3 for the Blues. The Blues record this year on the second night of a back-to-back is 2-3-1. And no icing here. Lack to field it. Tanev gets it up. Hansen can't clear it. Wide open in front. Schwartz. Oh, what a glove save there by Lack on Jaden Schwartz.
Jaden Schwartz did a really good job of adjusting to that pass. He had to get real low to get a lot on it, but a better save by Eddie Lack with the glove. We've got little babies following us around.
Wasn't that baby in Calgary last night?
The same baby? The one I didn't think was real?
I think she's real. And a big Blues fan.
Absolutely. A lot of big Blues fans here tonight in Vancouver.
And there's the BC native Barrett Jackman. Now for Oshie. Can't move it ahead. Hansen down low against Jackman, who now loses his stick. It's not broken. He just dropped it. And the puck in the skates of a couple of players. A quick shot hit the back of the goal. And now the Canucks try to move to the middle. There's Backes. And finally Oshie emerges with it. And he gets the puck out of trouble, and then it's whipped in hard by Backes. And around for Schwartz. To the captain. Now back for Pietrangelo. He walks the line. And then can't get a shot. Instead, he drops it back of the goal. There's Sobotka all over Tanev.
Well, the D of the Blues have to do that. They have to get it by the first wave because Vancouver's such a good shot-blocking stationary team. So good try there by Pietrangelo as this play is offside.
And Tortorella brought that philosophy from New York, Darren, as you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, that's for sure. A lot of A lot of five-man units collapsing low, blocking shots. But this was that opportunity right before we had the commercial break, and a terrific save there by goaltender Eddie Lack. And Lack, of course, has played the last two games, both overtime losses. 31 saves against Pittsburgh, 45 saves at Anaheim for Lack.
Now the Canucks get it back for Bieksa. Roberto Luongo, is out with a lower body injury, but did skate this morning.
Yep, he had that ankle turned over in that 46 saves in L.A. Dustin Brown crashed through the crease.
Now it's Bieksa. His drive. Tip, but it didn't get on goal. And now Tarasenko for Bouwmeester. And off the glass and out. Berglund gets it. And here's an odd man rush. Berglund right in a shot, and he put it high. Trying to go top corner over the glove.
Took advantage of a hopping puck through the neutral zone there. And right along the two benches where all the snow buildup is. And he's off to the races.
And now Leopold for Reeves. Under 3 to play in the opening period. Puck to center ice. Payarvi there along with Lapierre. And the former Canuck. In against Weber. And now it's gobbled up by Payarvi. For Lapierre. And he is pushed to the corner by Weber. Canucks get the puck to center. And now Payarvi, the first man back. Against Santorelli, who started the night on the first line. Puck comes in front, pinballs around, and now grabbed by Cole. And he skates it out of the zone.
Yeah, Zach Dalpe is taking over that role with the two Sedin twins.
And now Corrado a drive. Glove down by Elliott. And he defers to Shattenkirk. And then Backus a pass. Tipped by Kessler all the way down in on goal. And Lack says, I'm going to hold on to this with Oshie looking for a loose puck.
Well, with Patrick Berglund red hot alongside Tarasenko and Sobotka. In a play like this, the big Swede rolling down the left side after the shot by Bouwmeester rolls over Bieksa's stick. Now here comes Berglund. Watch the glove side. Tries to beat him high to the glove side. Lack's got his glove in a pretty good spot. And Lack being 6'4" covers a lot of net right there. Not much room up there high to the glove side.
So with that goal last night, 100 on the year for Berglund. Stewart will take it as Royas toss. Stewart against Richardson. And controlled by the Canucks. Here is Cassian. And then for Hamhuis. That flops in behind the Blues goal. Then Shattenkirk's pass. Hit a stick, doesn't get out. Long drive, well wide by Hamhuis. And they try to jam it in. It comes in front and taken care of by Shattenkirk and off the boards and out. And the Canucks regroup at center ice. And this is Cassie, and that's off a stick, and it is offside. By the way, happy 30th birthday to Blues fan, big Blues fan, Lauren Kilcullen. Happy birthday, Lauren.
How old's Lauren?
30.
30 years old. That's prime, huh?
It'd be nice to be 30 again.
I feel like I'm 30. You are what you feel, John Kelly.
I like that attitude.
You know what? I'm mature like a 8-year-old. I feel like a 30-year-old.
Well, at least you're honest. They ruled intentional offside there, so the puck is dropped in the Canucks zone. Blues win it. Here's Jaden Schwartz. He wheels in. Oh, a good right skate save there by Lack. How did Schwartz get to the front there? Kept in by Backus. Now for Oshie. Handed back to Bouwmeester. Long shot too high. Knocked down in front by Bieksa. As the Canucks dodge a bullet there.
Yeah, a couple of games ago in Edmonton, Jaden Schwartz said he just didn't feel very good, couldn't get the legs going. Well, he's got him buzzing so far in this game.
And now Sedin back to the line to Garrison. Garrison back to Daniel. He lets it go for Henrik. And he's pushed by Pietrangelo. Now centered Garrison, and a bouncing puck, and it rolled over his stick. And the Canucks have to go back. And Lack's pass tipped in by Danielson in with 35 to go in the first period. And Bouwmeester is high hoister. Bouncing puck rolling on the Canuck, and stolen by Berglund. As Tanev misplayed it. Now back in front. Tarasenko's pass intended for Berglund, and it's now to center ice. Boy, the puck's been bouncing a lot on the Canuck defense tonight.
Yeah, it really has. Just hasn't laid flat.
And then dumped in by Richardson. Shattenkirk off balance a bit, now trying to move it.
I think that's where Vancouver's really improved under John Tortorella. I think they're a real strong team along the boards. They're a lot firmer on the sticks, a lot harder on the pucks in those areas of the ice.
So a scoreless first period here in Vancouver as the Blues outshoot the Canucks 12-5, and they have the better scoring chances, but you got to hand it to the rookie goalie Eddie Lack. The Swede was real good. No score after one in Vancouver. Another sellout crowd here at Rogers Arena. No score, Blues and Canucks after 20. John and Darren back in the broadcast booth. The Blues had a dozen shots in that period and had by far the better scoring chances. Darren, would you agree?
I thought that was a heck of a road period. I mean, considering you're playing in back-to-back nights, and I thought they did a really, really good job. They knew that the Vancouver Canucks were going to come out and be a good battle-hungry team, but Jaden Schwartz has a brilliant chance there. And watch this, even though Backes loses the face-off, look who wins it, basically. That's a win off the face-off because of the great work from Jaden Schwartz. And he's like a water bug there cutting back to his right. As far as the captain is concerned, yeah, maybe it's been a little quiet on the offensive side of it, but how about this for hockey intelligence? Patience, in a good position, picks that one off easily there in the neutral zone. Shortly after that, he made another good play to pick one off.
And Blues Hockey is brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. Teams are at full strength here to begin this second period. And Schwartz down the wall. On with Backes and Oshie. And the Canucks the other way now for Sestito. Can't step around Shattenkirk. And then Sestito loses his stick. Kept in by Tanev, a shot, partially blocked. That goes wide. Now Shattenkirk back of the goal. He can't move it around. And Ryan Kessler there for the Canucks. Then four players battle down low. Big hit by Backes on Sestito. To the other side, Jackman and Kessler. And the Canucks can't center, and the Blues, they have numbers the other way. A 3-on-1. It's Backes for Schwartz. Shoots. Saved by Lack. And then Schwartz gets the rebound. Another odd man rush for the Blues. And then a shot by Schwartz up in the air and into the glove of the Swedish netminder. What a chance. The Blues we've talked about tonight, thinking they can capitalize on some odd man rushes, and here is another one, a 3-on-1. And Schwartz with the chance. It is still scoreless. And a high shot by Daniel Sedin. Tip low by Bieksa. And now it is Sobotka there for the Blues, but it goes to the corner for Daniel Sedin. To his brother Henrik. And a shot comes across. Delpy swings and misses. Now Henrik again right in front. No at home. Kept in. They score! That was tipped on the way through, maybe by Delpy. Just a harmless shot that will end up in the back of the net. Let's see if, yeah, Delpy does tip it all the way through. That's a good play. His second of the year. Through the legs of Elliott at 131. And the Canucks draw first blood. The goal by Zach Delpy. And the Canucks in their own zone. Reeves there trying to break it up. And Leopold has to play it back at his own line. Now Reeves fires it down the ice. The Sedins get the assist on that goal. Daniel and Henrik. And this is Ian Cole. His pass tipped by Reeves at the line. And now Richardson back in his own zone. And now around for Tanev. Or Weber, rather. Richardson catches up to it. Tough angle. And Leopold came over. And a good poke check. Higgins now for Vancouver. And he spins it back on the goal. Leopold there. Richardson on it again for the Canucks. And then turning is Jannik Hansen. Hansen looks out high. Everybody's covered. Now back on the line to Hamhuis. And Hansen again. He waits. Leopold is right there. The shot at got through and a pad save by Elliott. And a good play there by Hansen. Now the Blues tip one up the middle. Roy can't move it in. Weiss right back the other way for Vancouver. Dale Weiss right through the goal crease area. And no one home for Vancouver. And then Weiss again funnels it around the Blues goal. Hamhuis steps up. And now it comes to the other side for Cole. Stewart gets it at the line and then back in. And we get the offside. So the Canucks with a 1-0 lead. By the way, my partner, Darren Pang's mic is not working. We're trying to correct that problem, so that's why we haven't heard from Mr. Pang of late, but we'll get him back on a working microphone. So Delpy with the goal, and it's 1-0 for Vancouver. Now Lack to play it for the Canucks. That's cut off by Oshie. And then steered around by Bieksa. And now Backes again, but the Canucks have it. And it's Zach Kassian. Down his off wing. And a backhander taken care of by Elliott. On the cycle now for Kessler. And Kessler wanders out high. And then trapped back of the goal by Oshie. Vancouver, a much better forechecking team in the second period. As Backes fires it in from center. Eddie Lack plays it around. And then a hit by Backes on Bieksa, but the puck does squirt to center. And then Pietrangelo swipes it ahead for Berglund. And Berglund comes in 3-on-3. And he delays a bit. Down low for Tarasenko. Gets it away from the pack, and now to Berglund. And Berglund stops on Kessler. He goes the other way, right in front. And the Blues can't get it on goal. That was intended for Sobotka. And now Sestito to center ice. That pass too high for Kessler. Blues right back in there. Odd man rush again. Sobotka for Berglund. Right in. A shot. And Lack makes the save. As Tarasenko was near that far post. Now Tarasenko again. Centering feed. Blocked by Daniel Sedin. And now on to Delpy. Here comes Delpy as Pajärvi comes over. The shot. Short side. And a save by Elliott.
Good little give and go right there, and you see that Berglund's trying to stuff that in on the far side. Tarasenko actually tries to bank that off Eddie Lack and doesn't get a break. So I'd imagine, John Kelly, that the urgency and the intensity on the bench of the Blues has picked up now that the Vancouver Canucks have taken the 1-0 lead.
That's the longest time you ever gone without talking.
Pretty much so.
Here's Daniel Sedin shot.
I was waiting for that.
It was obvious. Daniel again. And he spins away from Lapierre. Now for Henrik. And that was stolen by Jackman. Outlet feed now for Magnus Pajärvi. He stops. That shot hit a Canuck player and then is handballed to center ice by Delpy.
Pajärvi had a real good first period there. We showed you a couple of shot blocks, and he's at his best when he's using his speed.
Now tipped in for Reeves, a drive, and a pad save by Lack. And Delpy gets it back for the Canucks. And the former Buckeye. And that's worked all the way down the ice. And Reeves under some pressure. Now for Bouwmeester. Morrow tips it on to center ice. 6 minutes gone here in the second. Canucks are offside. And we get a stoppage. Well, next Thursday is Guys Night Out at Scott Trade, so guys, get a bunch of your friends together. Enjoy a great night of hockey as the Blues take on the Kings. Your ticket price includes a pregame party, Guys Night Out playing cards, and much more. Visit stlouisblues.com/group deals for more information. And now Tanev again. That dump in goes to Higgins, but the Blues get it back and play it back with a goal. Pietrangelo now ahead for Stewart. Vancouver's come with a real forecheck in the second period. Bouwmeester to center ice. Now Pietrangelo. And a long floater in on Lack, and he handles that. And we get a break in the action. Delphi breaks the scoreless tie at 1:31.
Alex Pietrangelo playing up against what will be his teammate coming up in Sochi in February. And as that play ended, both Dan Hamhuis and Alex Pietrangelo skated for an extended period of time. And there's no animosity to this conversation, that's for sure. I think this is just a conversation about being teammates in the future. Hamhuis has quietly put together an outstanding NHL career.
Blues win a faceoff. Oshie the shot. That was high and wide, kept in by Leopold. Funnel down low for Schwartz. Now Hamhuis tipped away by Kessler. And the Blues recover at center ice. Schwartz off the boards and in. Tanev tips it back out. Here's Cole for Oshie. And he guides it behind the goal. Hamhuis gave it away to Schwartz, but he couldn't settle the pass as he almost picked it off. Now the Canucks up the ice. Broken up by Leopold. Slammed to center by Schwartz. Here go the Blues now with Vladdy Sobotka. And he gets it low. And Schwartz again comes up with it for the Blues. And his pass goes by Jackman on the point. And the Blues go back and get it. Here's Shattenkirk to center ice for Sobotka. The Exa has it again for Vancouver now for Garrison. With 12:34 to go in the second, now the Canucks are called for icing.
The pace is slowing down a little bit, John Kelly. And not much flow as the Blues know now that they want to get a little bit more pressure. They're still out shooting Vancouver 16-10. But the faceoffs have been an issue. In that first period, it was dominated by Vancouver, 75-25 on the dots.
Blues win this one. Tarasenko, great pass to Sobotka, and he lets it go, but Berglund couldn't get it.
That had eyes. I think this line's got to go back to basics a little bit. They are getting a little fancy. They got to start getting some clean looks.
Now Sobotka in front. Here comes Pietrangelo. Works in a drive. That goes just wide. And kept in by Bouwmeester. Oh, Tarasenko let it go through his legs. A drive. They score! Pietrangelo! What a play out high, and Pietrangelo buries it.
Did that remind you of that Olympic play in Salt Lake where Mario Lemieux let the puck go through his legs right to Correa? What a play by Tarasenko. And Sedin kind of fell for it because Sedin had to respect the fact that Tarasenko was right there in the middle of the ice. And it goes right between the legs of Tarasenko. He knows that Pietrangelo's on the far side there. Now that's enough of a lane, certainly for Pietrangelo to get the puck and get the shot on goal before Sedin can get to him. And this one's whistled with great traffic in front by Berglund. And it's a 1-1 game.
The kid thinks the game at another level, doesn't he?
Does he ever? How many guys would let that go through and have the composure to do that, because it was close to being outside the blue line. Very, very close. End up being perfect.
Pietrangelo gets his 7th of the year. And the Blues tie it, as now it's held by Lack. Pietrangelo now with 3 goals in 4 games after not scoring for 28 games.
And Ken Hitchcock has changed it up a little bit. Looks like Brendan Morrow here on the line with Reeves and Lapierre. But there's the shot, right-hand shot, not much of a lane right there. Head up all the way by Pietrangelo. And not sure if it glanced off the shaft of Sedin's stick or not. It didn't look like it, but it was perfect. It had eyes, and Pietrangelo wearing the A as an alternate captain for the Blues gets it into a 1-1 game.
He came into the game with 6 goals and 31 points, 6th best among all defensemen. And that did come to center ice. Cole could not hold it in. Bouwmeester and Berglund get the assists.
Tarasenko doesn't even get a sniff at a point on that play,
but he made the
he
play.
Makes an outstanding play and letting it go through his legs. 7th goal of the year for Pietrangelo, and as Andy Strickland told us earlier about Kevin Shattenkirk and Pietrangelo in the point system, now they are tied with 32 points.
So the Blues tie the game at 7:49. And this goes all the way down, and the Blues do win the race to the dots. And icing is called.
Berglund will get an assist on that as well, and he also did a great job of getting in front of the net. But he looks the whole way. He saw it and knew that Pietrangelo was there. Looks as if he's going to fire the puck. Lets it go between his legs. Terrific play.
And now Roy digs in against Richardson. It comes back for Bouwmeester. And he motors down low with Payarvi. Puck sent around. It comes to Pietrangelo. And that again is off the glass. And then handled by Stewart. It's Stewart, Roy, and Payarvi.
Yeah, Payarvi getting rewarded, and maybe just adding a little bit more of the forecheck, a little bit more of the speed part of it to balance out the lines right now.
And now the Blues come up with it. Here's Stewart. Punched away by Hamhuis. Stewart again. Ends up back of the cage. Hamhuis now ahead for Jannik Hansen. And he feathers one in from center ice. Reversed by Pietrangelo. And then the Blues can't get there. It comes back to the far side. Kessler a hit on Pietrangelo. Now Sestito with it for Hansen. Chased by 2 Blues. Now for Sestito again. No one's in front. They tried to hit Kessler on the wing, but that hit the back of the goal and caroms to center ice.
Yeah, because Bieksa was sniffing around there. He had pinched in there from his right point position. That's why he couldn't keep it in the zone on the right side.
Now it is Kassian coming off a 2-point night against Pittsburgh, and this goes out of play with 10:15 to go in the middle frame.
I showed you David Backes is intelligent play in that first period, and I think the wonder is when you go up against the guy that you're going to be playing with in the Olympics. They played together in 2010, and again on the face-off dot. Kessler and Backes haven't had a whole bunch of animosity, haven't had a whole lot of abrasiveness in this game. We always see that between the two.
As Bieksa breaks his stick, see if the Blues can capitalize, but now Bieksa gets a new twig. Then Leopold forces one ahead for Schwartz. Fights off the Kessler check, grabbed by Backes. And that's knocked down at the line by Bieksa. And then across to Cole, doesn't get it very deep. And the Canucks wrist it all the way down, and Elliott makes that stop.
Yeah, that was tough for Cole to handle that slap shot of a pass there by David Backes. He passes the puck with firmness, doesn't he? Nothing soft about the way David Backes does things.
Now long pass, look out. Kassian was behind the defense, but that was, speaking of hard passes, too hot to handle. And now Berglund gets it for the Blues. On for the very cerebral Tarasenko, but it's offside. Sobotka was just in on right wing. Midway through the period. Dalpe for the Canucks, Pietrangelo for the Blues.
Well, Alex Pietrangelo's got the game-tying goal, and that is the recipient of our Mazda drive to the net replay. He had a good shot early on, just missed on the stick side, and then the play develops, and it continues on, and he goes right back to the wheelhouse with big Patrick Berglund in front of the net. The puck slides through Tarasenko. The shot on goal's got eyes. The goaltender's screened. Great presence in front by Berglund, who gets an assist, as does Jay Bouwmeester.
And that ties the game at 1. Shots are 18-10 in favor of the Blues.
Not a big windup either from Pietrangelo, huh? Doesn't want to get it blocked by Sedin.
Now around the goal, the Canucks, they come up with it. It's Dalpe. Henrik back of the net. And he is pushed down by Sobotka. Then Daniel Sedin feeds Tanev on the line. And then Henrik again, swatted away by Sobotka. Dalpe to Henrik, a shot on goal. Or rather Daniel Sedin, and the Blues They get the rebound back to center ice.
Well, Sobotka does a nice job of releasing from Sedin, as that is offside. And once he released from Sedin, then he went right to the front of the crease in a good defensive position. So although it's not going Sobotka's way offensively in this game, that's a good play defensively against one of the trickier players in the NHL. Last 4 games, got at least a point. As you had mentioned that before, John, that ties his career high for point streak.
And now they send out Lapierre, Morrow, and Ryan Reeves. And we've seen this a few times this year, there, when the Blues do play back-to-back nights. Oftentimes Morrow slides down to this Lapierre line. Well, the Blues in front. Lapierre almost coughed it up. And now Shattenkirk gets his feet moving into the zone to Morrow. That floats wide. And then grabbed by Mike Santorelli, who was signed as a free agent. Archibald tips it all the way down the ice. Shattenkirk, the first player back, around to Reeves, tip to center. Lapierre off to the races. He works in, shoots one wide on the short side as he had a partial break.
Yeah, the old knuckle puck right there was on edge. And the Blues the other day in practice were working on those types of shots where the puck's on edge.
Now a penalty here.
First one of the game.
As Jacklin was knocked down.
Reese going off. And the penalty kill of John Tortorella is #1 in the National Hockey League at 89.1%. So the Blues power play, which is ranked 3rd in the NHL, will have an opportunity to go ahead here at the 8:02 mark.
And the Blues were 2 for 6 last night and have scored 11 power play goals in their last 9 games by 9 different players. Here's Shattenkirk. That comes around. Weiss gone for hooking at 11:58. Now Pietrangelo keeps it in there. Oshie trying to get it back, and it bounces on Shattenkirk, and the Blues have to regroup at center ice.
It actually started with that hard rim around there by Shattenkirk that the Blues just couldn't corral it. You want to, as much as possible, go tape to tape when you're in the man advantage.
And now Pietrangelo, he goes around the end wall. Now Backus tripped up by Tanev to the line, kept in by the skates of Oshie. And Oshie dances out high, and he waits to Pietrangelo. Shattenkirk is open. Instead, Pietrangelo looks the other way. Now to Shattenkirk. He works in a shot. That was blocked.
That's a good play by Tanev. He attacked him right away. Didn't give him any room.
And now it's Shattenkirk winding up a drive, and that was off a leg in front. Oshie has it again. A minute to go in the power play. Schwartz spins it back on the goal. Hamhuis trying to steer it around. Not a lot of mustard on it. Kept in. Now to Shattenkirk. And he waits. To Pietrangelo. Fires it. Wide of the goal. Tanev gets it. And up the middle, diving play by Oshie to keep it in. And now the Canucks get it back, and then cleared by Higgins.
Oshie did all that work to keep the play alive, and then he went just back in the wrong direction. He looked a little frustrated going over to the bench because he'd done all that work to get it back.
Blues have scored multiple power play goals in their last 2 games. That's the first time they've done that this year. Now it comes to Leopold. Tarasenko, good job to hold it in now for Leopold. For Berglund. Berglund out high again to Leopold. Lines up, fires it. And that's blocked in front, I think, by Bieksa. And the Canucks shoot it high and back down the ice. And the power play is history. Weiss is out. It's still 1-1. Berglund stripped at the line. Blues did not get a shot on that power play. And now it's Daniel for Henrik. Back to Daniel. In front of the give and go. And that was just a little bit off the ice, and Henrik couldn't knock it down. And now Chris Stewart off the board. Sobotka there, and now worked around, and an odd man rush again. It's Stewart and Berglund. Into Berglund! And he can't get his mitts on it as he was held a bit by Corrado.
Corrado did a very good job without taking a minor penalty. Stewart was trying to lay a nice feathery little pass there. Heel-to-toe saucer pass, and Berglund couldn't get to it.
1-1 here in the second period.
Very much. Here's 2 veteran coaches. Both have won Stanley Cups. And the one thing about Ken Hitchcock's squad, when you're winning games, you've got a great bit of spirit. And the other night prior to the Calgary game, he says, when we don't, basically now, they don't stop playing in games. I think we're seeing a little bit of that in this game. They don't go away from games ever. They always find a way to get back into it.
Hitchcock and Tortorella, 2 of 9 current coaches with cup rings. And the Blues get it to the line. And now we get a whistle. And I believe a penalty has been called here.
Dennis Leroux is making this call on Chris Stewart. Goaltender interference call. Let's just see if Stewart here, the puck gets played. Oh boy, that is not a very good call at all. The goalie plays the puck. He's going for the puck. The goalie actually spins on his own to get back into position.
He just tried to lift his stick.
Yeah, well, that's why the goalie was doing that. He spun because he was back towards the net. So when you spin, the goalie is doing that to get himself facing the puck again. That's a bad call by a referee that didn't see it.
Canucks first power play. Garrison a drive that goes high with a screen in front by Sestito. And that's tipped away by Berglund's stick to center ice. Garrison and Kessler the playman. Up front it is the Sedin twins with Sestito. Vancouver's power play ranked 23rd at 15.7%. The Blues have killed 18 in a row. And they're up to 5th on the kill. Turned over, and now Sobotka. One-on-one against Garrison. And a shot by Sobotka blocked. And now recovered by Daniel Sedin.
A similar player played it last night when he scored that goal off the rush on Terry Ramo. That one didn't get through, though.
Elliott out to play it as Ian Cole held up his man. 65 to go in the power play in this 1-1 game. And the Blues get it back, and Max Lapierre off the boards and in. Gets it by Daniel Sedin. And a backhander is blocked by Garrison. And now Daniel again, chased by his former teammate. Picked up by the captain, Henrik Sedin, now to Kessler. And he slams it around the boards. Tipped by Higgins to the line, now to Daniel. He goes to the line again. Weber, a shot on goal, and a save by Elliott. And then Cole back of the goal on his knees, and it's brought down and kept in by Yannick Weber. Good play there. Kessler for Henrik Sedin. 25 to go in the power play. Weber again, a shot, and that's high.
Lapierre's on an extended shift right here. He couldn't get off on that last one.
Henrik across. Hits a leg and fired away by Lapierre. And now the Blues can make a change.
Lapierre, after that rush where he beat Sedin, he went by the bench, but there wasn't a player ready because the flow was going. He stayed on the ice, and then he got trapped in their own zone. So a good break for the Blues to be able to get it out, and Lapierre for a change.
And now Stewart is out of the box. Here's a shot on goal. Quick save by Elliott, and then he covers that rebound. And it stays 1-1. Vancouver had one shot on that power play.
And it was a good one, John. It was a good one through traffic, and Elliott made a great blocker save. He has been sharp. Not overly tested in this game, but extremely sharp. Boy, the Blues are getting some great goaltending. Great goaltending. And that one there, he smothers it up. Here's the pass. There's a lot of traffic. Watch the blocker on the right side. A terrific save as he watches that puck come into his blocker, and then he gets a little help on the rebound. Last 3 years, that is just brilliant. 1.83 goals against average and 15 shutouts. That leads all goaltenders the last 3 years. How good is that?
Great. And the Blues right off the face-off ice it. So we'll do it again with 2:47 left in the second period.
Well, you go to Yaroslav Halak last night, coming off a 5-game absence because of that bad flu, and all he did was register his 19th Blues shutout and 28th career with 33 saves. And now tonight, he's seeing his partner Brian Elliott again strong.
And a face-off controlled by Backes. Oshie turns. Cut off at center ice by Hansen. He'll drop it right back in the zone. And then Leopold. That hit a leg of Richardson. Now Backes on the far side. He'll tip it ahead. Jaden Schwartz after it. Gets it from Tanev. Now Schwartz to Backes. A shot. And a glove saved by Lack. And then almost dropped into the net.
Thought from this angle it actually dropped out of the webbing, and Eddie Lack's checking his glove right now.
And Dan Hamhuis. And he is hit by Stewart. Puck comes free now for Roy. Bouwmeester's open on the left point. Puck rolled on him a bit. And then to the corner. Hamhuis gloves it down, but now Roy gets it back. It is Roy, Stewart, and Payarvi. Payarvi for Bouwmeester. And no shot was there. Instead, back of the goal now to Stewart. Rolls off the check of Hamhuis.
That's a good defensive play there by Hamhuis.
And now ahead to Hansen, cut off by Bouwmeester. And he turns it the other way. Canucks caught on a change, and Stewart comes in. And a shot on goal by Stewart, and a save by Lack as the Canucks got caught in a line change.
Well, just after saying that Dan Hamhuis, the Canadian Olympian, had made a great defensive play, they end up going for a change, both Tanev and Hamhuis, and they're rather slow going at that change. And the forwards, the same thing. They're all guilty of a bad change, and the Blues nearly make them pay. As you can see, Derek Roy pushed it ahead to Chris Stewart. Stewart had some speed, so with Derek Roy flat-footed, he knew that the only chance to get a good opportunity was to push it ahead to Stewart.
Stewart has scored goals on the first 2 games of this road trip. Now Berglund with it. And he was upended. Loose puck is taken by Garrison. And now Sobotka back defensively. He's on with Santorelli, or rather, Kessler's on with Santorelli and Cassian against the Sobotka line. It goes to Cassian. And he looks around. On the cycle again for Santorelli. Chased out high by Sobotka. Long shot by Cassian, blocked in front. And then Jackman up the boards, picked at and held in by Bieksa. And now a diving Tarasenko gets it to center ice. 50 seconds left in the second period. Now Jackman to center ice. Sobotka gets a piece of that. Brendan Morrow after it. Puts the body on Hamhuis. Canucks try a long stretch pass, blocked, and then drilled back in by Lapierre.
Yeah, good play by Lapierre. Get the line, get it in deep, late in the period. See if you can't get a break, working the puck down low.
And then Daniel a pass. Risky pass across the ice. And then right back in offside. All month on Toyota Blues Live, tuned in for Holuary. Brett Hull shares stories and reflects on his time in St. Louis. Toyota Blues Live, Tuesday at 6:30, followed by the Blues and Coyotes at 7 on Fox Sports Midwest.
Holuary, 741 National Hockey League regular season goals by the legendary Brett Hull.
How good was he?
His good buddy. He's going to retire the sweater. Mike O'Donnell, aren't they in Dallas? The Big D? A lot of those boys will get together.
And that shot by a Canuck player goes off a stick. 16.5 left in the second period. And Darren, this is the kind of game that I think we all expected. The Canucks play a heavy, hard game, and just not a lot of room out there for either club.
No, I think as we expected, that especially the role players for the Vancouver Canucks playing a little bit more on the edge because of what John Tortorella has done and demanded from them. They played a good hard game here, but the Blues have had the advantage. 21-13 shots on goal in the second game of back-to-back. That's impressive road hockey.
Now the Canucks try to get the puck to the slot area. And a pass blocked by Oshie, and that will do it. So we will go to the third, tied at 1. As Delpy has scored for Vancouver, and Pietrangelo for the Blues.
9 by Vancouver, 8 shots on goal through
Shots through 2 periods, 21-13 in favor of the Blues. So we've got a nail-biter going on in Vancouver as the Blues look for their 8th consecutive victory. It's 1-1 after 40 minutes.
Go to Gift Services section 114 to claim your good for a prize package, including a gift card to the prize.
So we go to the third period tied. The Blues record this year tied after Zeus 7-1. The Canucks are 5-1-6. One even after 40. At full strength there. Blues come in. And Backes has to wait. And now Schwartz does get onside. And the puck goes deep. And now played by Dan Hamhuis. Up for Higgins. That's broken up by Shattenkirk. Whoa! Look out, Oshie. He just saw Cassian at the last second. And he deals it back to Jackman. Blues wrapping up a 3-game road trip tonight. They haven't won 8 in a row since 2002. Trying to do that tonight. Now Sobotka back of the goal. Chipped around by Garrison. And played off the boards now for Delpy. He has scored the Canuck goal. Pietrangelo for the Blues. Now for Bouwmeester. Berglund tips it. And then it's Sobotka for Tarasenko. Trying to move one to the middle of the ice. Canucks have it, and here they come again. Delpy with it, a shot, and up high. Ron Elliott, that hit the glass.
This is one line for the Blues that they really want to improve their play here in the third period. It hasn't been their sharpest. I think they just need to simplify it a little bit and win a few more faceoffs because Sedin has dominated Sobotka, which is not something that we have said, John Kelly, very often this year. Sobotka's been that good at 63% as an average.
But as you said, the Blues only 35% through 2 periods. And now Bieksa skates it out. Barely got it by Payarby. And now the Canucks swing it in. Elliott to play it for Ian Cole. That's cut off by Richardson. Ends up back of the goal. And now the Canucks commit a shot from the right side by Weber, turned away by Elliott. Now Richardson again. He's canceled by Leopold. Loose change taken by Roy. And now on to Cole. Hard pass to Stewart. Now Cole goes to the net. That's tipped by somebody, maybe Cole, and it goes out of play.
That's great patience shown by Derek Roy in getting out of the zone. But when you talk about third periods and the differential, the Blues at a plus 28. That's just a remarkable number. The goals for, goals against, the 5-on-5 goals for, goals against. And when the game gets humming along, the Blues are getting better and better. Look at those great teams that are below them.
Blues win the faceoff. Shattenkirk a shot. And a save by Lack. And you have to wonder how fragile the Canucks might be after blowing that 2-goal lead late on Tuesday against Pittsburgh. And they've lost 5 in a row.
Well, they put themselves back in a position to test it anyway. And that's all you want as a team. But Lack gets himself in good position. There was good coverage in front of him. You saw a lot of blue sweaters there. Not much of an area, even if there was a rebound for the Blues player to get to it.
And now Lapierre controls the faceoff. Brendan Morrow there as well. Puck up the ice and over Shattenkirk's stick. And that will be an icing call against Vancouver. Blues will see these Canucks once more out of the Olympics back in here on February the 28th.
Yeah, right out of it. That'll be a big test for everybody with the Blues having 10 players going to the Olympics at least. I mean, it could be 11. You never know with Roman Polak. And if he had that situation, whether he goes or not goes. Now Ryan Reeves and Dan Hamhuis are at it. Of course, Ryan Reeves, if you just joined us here, signed that 4-year extension. I wonder how long it took for his father, Willard Reeves, the former CFL star, to make $4.5 million bones.
That is a good question. I don't suspect he did in the old CFL.
He neither.
And a shot wide. Now it goes to Morrow. Down low against Hamhuis. Canucks break it up, and Richardson with it. And now walked along to center by Dale Weiss. And Weiss comes in, and he is really hit hard by Reeves.
Good back checking there by Reeves. He never stopped moving his skates there.
And now Cole wrapped up. Santorelli gets it to the line. Tanev a drive, and a save by Elliott with the right pad. And it goes out of play.
Great opportunity for Chris Tanev. The right-hand shot lets her rip. And the issue that was in front of Elliott was the fact that there was a little bit of a screen, and now we got the skirmish going on right here. Archibald, Santorelli, they're hanging around right here. And you see Weiss. We talked a little bit about this with John Tortorelli as he keeps his role players on the edge. And his players right now probably aren't comfortable. But with that screen in front, that's a great right pad save by Elliott. He's fighting around Travis. I don't know how he saw this. He might be just taking away the percentages right there. Knowing that it wasn't on his left, it had to be on the right, and he just stabs that right pad out there beautifully. What a save.
Indeed. And then Weiss got involved. Weiss, I mentioned, was a healthy scratch. Tortorella said about him, he hasn't shown me a sniff of that aggression of late. So he sat him.
Yep. Well, if your third and fourth liners don't have that edge, well, what's their usefulness? They have to have that. They have to be hard to play against because they're not playing that much.
Now it's kept in by Kessler, back of the goal. Higgins centers it. And that's turned away before Kassian could get it. Now Higgins again. For Zach Kassian. Pushed away by Shattenkirk. On the cycle, Higgins wrapped up by Backes. Higgins gets it away. And BX is wide open at the line. And a shot goes wide of the Blues goal. And around to Higgins again. On the cycle for Kessler. And he is run down by Shattenkirk.
Look how low on the pinch, though, that Kevin BX is there.
Canucks center it. That goes by everybody. Back to Garrison. Pressured here by Vancouver. Higgins down low. Good read by Backes to break it up.
Fantastic defensive play there by the captain.
And now Bieksa quickly ahead. At the line, it's Backes again. Blues have numbers into the zone now for TJ Oshie. And Oshie pulls up. And he looks around. Off the boards for Schwartz. And that was broken up by Henrik Sedin. And then the Blues shoot it back in. Then they make a change in the fly.
You know, I'm sure for these players, too, they've been on such a roll offensively, and the little plays around small areas of the ice have been working. They're not working tonight, so they're going to have to find a way to just grunt this one out here.
As Sobotka comes in, he delays. Little toe drag move. Now a shot wide. Then it goes to Patrick Berglund. Here's Berglund in tight quarters. Tarasenko blocks it. Puts it in front. Bounces all the way to the line to Bouwmeester. And that's funneled around the end boards. And Vladdy Tarasenko. Henrik Sedin steps in front of him. And now it's Hamhuis with plenty of time. And he will kick the puck up the middle and now shoot it down the ice off Bouwmeester, so there is no icing. Nearly 5 minutes gone here in the third. It's 1-1. Shots 22-15 for the Blues. Now Payarvi on the forecheck. Sestito there for the Canucks. Nowhere to go with it. Stripped by Roy. And to the line, that's blocked by Brad Richardson. And here he comes into the Blues zone. And Cole, the first man back. Now Sestito with it. Thrown back of the goal. Richardson and two Canucks after it.
Would have been a hand pass. Would have been a hand pass, but Richardson let the puck go.
And now Payarvi for Derek Roy. A shot on goal. And a save by Lack. And Richardson shoots it high. And this rolls down into the Blue zone. Here's Ian Cole. Long stretch pass. Worked into the Canuck and Bieksa rather. For Garrison. And off the boards and out. Tipped along the wall by Weiss. Weiss comes in to the front. And a pad save by Elliott. Bounces to Garrison. And he scores. It may have been tipped as Garrison lets it go.
Mike Santorelli was on the doorstep. Early in the game, John Tortorelli changed up that top line. Took Santorelli off of it. But Weiss gets some good speed, and basically Shattenkirk's flat-footed. Now they funnel pucks to the net. Santorelli stays in front. Archibald's there. Good screen by Archibald, but keep your eye on 25. The white tape on his blade right there, and the puck is actually going wide to the stick side. And he redirects it into the net. No chance whatsoever for Elliott.
And the Canucks go back on top at 5:56. And a pass by Hamhuis, picked off by Backes. Kassian gets it back for Vancouver. Into Kessler, right in, and a good save there by Elliott with his shoulder.
That's an important save. Anytime you give up a goal, that next one is so important. Settle things down. That save after a goal against, and that was a beauty.
And now Tanev off the boards, lost it. And it rolls back to Pietrangelo, who has scored the Blues goal. Pass ahead, intended for Oshie. That goes by him, and icing called against the Blues.
Good shot by Jason Garrison, the former Florida Panthers, signed as an unrestricted free agent with the Vancouver Canucks. Got a real good shot, a heavy shot. And Santorelli also spent some time with Phoenix and Florida, but it's the chip play there that the defenseman Shattenkirk has no chance to defend against with the speed of Weiss. And then this shot is going wide and just redirected. It got by the first layer, and that was the key for Garrison.
And Santorelli tips it in. His 10th of the year. A very good free agent signing by the Canucks, who lead by 1.
We're up for I think the expectation is a very urgent final 13 minutes here to try to sweep Western Canada.
Santorelli with the goal to make it 2-1, his first in 6 games, 10th of the year from Garrison. Now in front, Jackman gets it back to the Blues. Held in by Daniel Sedin, trying to hit Henrik down low, and then Jackman steers it around. Tarasenko had it, couldn't clear it. But then Sobotka does, and now Garrison for Bieksa. Back in on goal, and then turning is Henrik, trying to feed one back to Delpy.
Boy, he had a lane all on his own there, tried to be a little too fancy.
Now he was in a very good shooting position. Now played to Tarasenko. Now Shattenkirk ahead. It's Berglund into the zone. Slowed up by Yannick Weber. And then Berglund throws it back to the goal. Sobotka trying to spin away from his man. And that's Corrado. And then Berglund chops him down. It is Daniel Sedin off the boards and out.
Oh, you have to think that this line of Berglund, Sobotka, and Tarasenko just are a little empty as far as the gas is concerned, and that's an easy save there by Lack on the sharp side, on the short side, excuse me, on a sharp angle. Easy for me to say. But you go back to the goal that was scored, and this is a wonderful angle at ice level. A good little wrister right there, not much of a wind-up by Garrison. It's going wide by maybe a foot, and instead it gets redirected by Santorelli. See, it's going wide to the stick side. Elliott's trying to track it here. It goes right off the shaft, just above the blade, and into the middle of the net. Great redirection.
And now it's covered again by Lack. I mentioned Santorelli was signed as a free agent. He's a Vancouver native. Has already had a couple of overtime goals. Only 2 goals all of last year. Now Roy on the faceoff against Richardson. And it's won by the Canucks. Hamuse around. Here's Bouwmeester pinching. Now for Stewart. Spins away, gets it near the goal. And then Roy trying to go to the line, but that was too soft. And walked along by Santorelli. Santorelli in there against Payarvi. Richardson with it for Vancouver. Side of the goal, comes in front. And that shot by Richardson was blocked. And then it's fed to the corner by Jannik Hansen. Pressure again by Vancouver. Richardson rocked by a check from Pietrangelo. And now Derek Roy. Canucks step up. Can't have a good step up there to break it up. Richardson with it for Vancouver. That shot wide on the short side. And now Hamuse. That's blocked by Stewart. And then Richardson down low, worked over by Pietrangelo. And that puck is at the line, off a couple of legs, and stays in there. And now Derek Roy will push it back to the goal. Blues hemmed in a bit at this point. Down by a goal. Less than 11 to go in regulation. And that's going to be an icing call against the Blues.
That went off Derek Roy as he went for a line change.
Well, here's a great ticket offer that includes a t-shirt for Tuesday's game against the Coyotes. Get 2 tickets and 2 Blues t-shirts starting at just $63 with Ticketmaster T-Shirt Tuesdays. Visit stlouisblues.com/hot deals for more information.
What a deal that is.
Face-off won by the Canucks again. Now Pietrangelo ahead. Tipped out by Oshie. He's wanting to make a change here. Pietrangelo for Bouwmeester. And that pass on the stick of Backes. And now played by Lack back of the goal. Canucks give it up. Oshie with it. Trying to drop it off to Backes. Kept in by Kevin Shattenkirk. Long shot. Hit Garrison. Recovered by Schwartz in front of Backes. What a save there by Lack on David Backes.
Not even sure if he saw where it came from. But David Backes can't believe it because Eddie Lack robbed him with the right pad. A brilliant heel-to-toe saucer pass by Jaden Schwartz, who's had some jump in this game. This pass here, he gets free, springs it right over the stick of Garrison, right on the tape of the big blade of Backes, but just a better response by the goaltender. Watch the right pad. Oh, he didn't even get it out there. He's actually getting there on the butterfly, didn't even quite get set. Got a little fortunate there on that shot from Backes.
What a pass by Schwartz. Canucks win another faceoff. Christopher Tanev for Daniel. Lobbed ahead in the direction of Henrik Sedin, and now it's Oshie back. And then for Jordan Leopold. And his pass across the ice. Played by Shattenkirk at the line into Leopold. Winds up, fires it. Pad saved by Lack, who's looked very calm in goal tonight.
That's a great entry into the zone, though. Real good execution there. Going D, Leopold to Shattenkirk.
And icing called. The Canuck player was knocked down. That's why the fans were a bit upset. With 9:45 to go in regulation time.
Well, here's where the Blues could really benefit their play against Tortorella's Vancouver Canucks by winning faceoffs. I mean, getting on the dots and instead of chasing it off the faceoff, get it and control it and have the Vancouver Canucks running around a little bit inside their own zone.
And now Sobotka wins it back to Bouwmeester. A shot, and that hit something, just missed. And the Canucks fire it back down the ice. Shots 28-19 for the Blues, but they're down by one. Bouwmeester now for Berglund. No icing here. Black to play it. High in the glass, cut off by Tarasenko. In front now to Bouwmeester. The drive, and that goes wide. And around to Pietrangelo. Bouwmeester's wide open again. Slap pass to Tarasenko. In front. Off a stick now to Bouwmeester. And that shot was well wide. And now it's Dale Weiss. Pressured by Pietrangelo.
What a read by Pietrangelo. And he pinches in on Weiss.
Now Ian Cole. Too far for Tarasenko. Punch back the other way. Here comes Weiss again. Into the deep slot to Higgins. A shot and a glove save by Elliott. And we get a stoppage. 8:45 to go in the third period. Black's best save on David Backes here in the third.
And we're back here in Vancouver as the Vancouver just took the lead 2-1, which is no surprise as the last 7 games have all been decided by one-goal games. 6 of the last 7, actually. When you look at this right here between Vancouver and St. Louis, they're always closely contested, and it's no surprise we have another closely contested battle here tonight, John.
No, it is not. We have seen some tough games between these clubs over the last couple of years. That pass by Jackman goes down the ice. Icing called against the Blues.
And to back that up, too, both teams right now, John Tortorella in one-goal games, 11-3, and this is an odd number, 9. There's a lot of these games that have slipped away, so although they're one-goal games, 11-3 and 9, whereas the Blues are 12-1 and 5.
And the puck at the line stays in there. Richardson. And now it's finally cleared by Lapierre. Richardson again gets a piece of this. Rolls in toward Jackman.
Yeah, look for the Blues defensemen to be very active. I mean, they generally are anyway. It's the way they play, but even more so now, especially with pinches in the offensive zone and jumping into the play.
And that's thrown high by Richardson. Too high and too far down the ice for an icing call.
Now it gives us a chance here as the Blues will make changes for our BMO Harris bank check replay of the game. That's a big one there by the captain. And Ryan Reeves, good hit. Little collision there inside the blue line between Schwartz and Tanev. And Big Ian Cole, who scored a goal in last night's game off a perfect feed from Tarasenko, gets involved physically.
And now it's Roy, Berglund, and Stewart for the Blues. A new look here. With 8:06 left, Richardson is tossed. So Roy will take it. Gets it from Sestito back to Pietrangelo. Thrown back of the goal. It's Stewart to a wide-open Bouwmeester. Now Stewart off the boards. Pass across to Pietrangelo. A shot. And an arm save by Lack.
Good play by Stewart.
Now Stewart again. Thought about going out high to Berglund. Followed by Tanev. And now Richardson back deep in his own zone. To Sestito, and it's tipped ahead. Hansen down the boards. He's cut off by Bouwmeester. Hansen trying to center one. At the line to Bieksa. That shot blocked by Roy. And now Pietrangelo fires it up the middle. This goes 200 feet for icing.
Now the Blues may call a timeout because of the fact that Patrick Berglund's hunched over, Stewart, Derek Roy. So I'm keeping my eye on head coach Ken Hitchcock to see if he's going to. 2-3-1 in the second game of back-to-backs. They'll have 13 back-to-backs this year.
But no timeout.
No timeout. And he'll trust the fact that Roy, Stewart, and Berglund have plenty of gas in the tank.
And Henrik Sedin wins it back for Garrison. A shot. Hit traffic on the way through.
Nice
and then
play.
Pietrangelo for Roy. And now on to Berglund, and he does gain the red line and dump it in and go off on a change.
And that's where the communication from the bench comes in, saying get it deep, get the line so you can get a line change. And that's exactly what Berglund did.
Now pass by Shattenkirk. Here comes Oshie in for Backus. Long shot. Makes Black have to go to his right and make the save. And now Jaden Schwartz tripped up by Henrik Sedin. We've had only a couple of minors in this game, one for each club. Schwartz off the boards. And a shot wide.
He's got some jump, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Shattenkirk now for Leopold. That shot blocked by Bieksa. Kept in by Leopold again. Now Bieksa tries a second time. And it comes ahead. And Delpy down the boards, and that goes into the blue zone with 6:25 left. Shattenkirk delays a bit here. And across to Sobotka. Now on with Tarasenko and Payarvi. Sobotka stripped at center. Here comes Higgins in for Kessler. Wide open. A shot. And that's blocked. Either by Shattenkirk or Tarasenko. And now Shattenkirk has lost his stick. It is broken. Canucks with it, a shot. That's well wide. Comes to the near side. Tarasenko has given Shattenkirk his stick. And Sobotka, with time, will clear it up the middle, but not out.
What an effort there by Tarasenko. Terrific work.
He broke it up with his glove and then ripped around by Pietrangelo.
The old stinky leather mitt right there and broke it up, huh?
Yes, he did. Now Derek Roy in there with Berglund, and they keep it in. Kessler for the Canucks. And that comes to center ice with 5.5 to play. Cole chased by Santorelli. And here's Cole the other way. Beats a couple of Canucks now for Stewart. And that pass was blocked, and Hansen lobs it the other way. Bouwmeester for Cole. Stewart gets a piece. And Lack wanders to play it. Now for Garrison. And out of the zone. And this is Jackman. Stretch pass for Oshie. All four Canucks are back there. Oshie works in. And a shot on goal. Rebound Schwartz. And Lack again had the answer. Now Backus back on the line. It is Jackman. Jackman in front. Tipped by Oshie. And that didn't get by Bieksa.
What a smart play by Barrett Jackman. He put that right on the tape.
And it's kept in by Leopold. Bouncing puck. That's corralled by Henrik Sedin, and he comes back the other way. Elliott out to play this one. To the corner now for Leopold. And time becoming a factor now with 4:20 left in regulation. And Jackman gets it away from Henrik Sedin. Off a stick and around for Schwartz. And then play back to Jackman. See if the Blues can come up with a final push here and keep their winning streak alive. Sobotka gets it off the boards and in. Tanev ahead. And by Pietrangelo on the right point. And now Bouwmeester backpedaling. That pass over Hanu's stick. And they're going to say an icing call with 3:46 left.
Yeah, Bouwmeester doesn't like that call whatsoever, and he said as much to veteran linesman Don Henderson, but these linesmen don't miss very much. And Jay Bouwmeester doesn't say very much. A rather quiet, unassuming individual. Now it's about winning the face-off again and getting it going the other way.
Sobotka against Kessler. Kessler wins it. Cassian now for Higgins. It rolled on him. And then Tarasenko gets it by the defenseman Garrison, but lost it. Here the Canucks back in. Kessler to the front for Higgins, wide open. What a glove save by Brian Elliott. But we're going to get a penalty here on Bouwmeester.
Not sure what the call is. Net was knocked off. We'll listen in to Chris Rooney. He's calling it a delay of game. For the next 2 minutes, the Blues will be shorthanded, and you make the call. It's a tough one to make here. As you see the play, drop pass by Kessler. Bouwmeester's trying to eliminate Kessler, and then he spins and turns into the net. I'm just not sure what else he can do. Are they calling it because his left arm swings like that as he knocks it? At that particular point, Elliott had already made the save anyway.
A tough one. And the Canucks on the power play for the second time. They're 0 for 1. And it comes with 3.5 to play in regulation. Face-off won by Henrik Sedin. Now to Hamhuis for Garrison. And across to Daniel Sedin. Kessler leads the club with 7 power play goals. He's in front, and that's way high. And now it comes down to Barrett Jackman. And he moves it along and then rips it all the way down the ice. So if the Blues kill it off, they'll have 90 seconds left in regulation time to tie the game. Unless, of course, they score a shorthanded goal. Now Henrik Sedin for Daniel. Dropped off and a drive just wide by Garrison.
Boy, can he fire it, huh? I mean, that's their power play. It's all set up to get to number 5.
Well, Lapierre. The old-fashioned hip check there by Hamhuis on his former teammate. Hamhuis now ahead to Kessler. And he comes down Main Street to the line to Garrison. Spun around the end boards now for Daniel Sedin. And he slows it down. 50 to go in the power play. Daniel in front. Wide open. A shot by Henrik. Blocked by Pietrangelo.
How about that first setup?
They are crafty. Daniel again. Goes around the end boards. And then Henrik spins off a check again from Pietrangelo. Daniel right in front. And now it goes to Henrik again.
Imagine them on the big ice surface in the Olympics. Yikes.
It's yikes here. You never get it back from them. And they play catch far side. 20 left in the power play.
Look at Hamhuis, too. Keep your eye on number 2.
Yeah, he's wide open in front. He's out covered by Schwartz. Daniel back on the goal. Again to the captain, Henrik. Now they go out high.
He's picking Schwartz.
Now Daniel down low. Everyone's covered. Garrison. Now Henrik out of the corner. For Kessler. Great read by the Blues. And Bouwmeester out of the box. So the Blues down by 1 now with 80 seconds left. We'll watch Elliott in goal. See when he goes off. Oh, she gets the pass. Trying to cut around Tanev. Tarasenko. There goes Elliott off for the extra man. With 1:05 to go. 6 attackers. And it's under the Canuck player, Santorelli.
Lots of time here. Lots of time with the extra man.
Puck to an open side. Bouwmeester races in. Held in by Tarasenko. And a long wrist shot goes wide. Now Leopold for Stewart. To Oshie. That goes wide. Trying to make a play. Chopped that by the Canucks. Helped in Bouwmeester. In front block. Now Stewart. That shot blocked again by Tanev in front. Canucks have it. And an empty net as Tanev gets it out. But Stewart cuts him off with 25 to go here.
Still time.
Well, Stewart with a length-to-length rush here. He comes in front. Intended for Oshie. And then Pietrangelo put it wide. Garrison trying to clear. Cut off by Stewart. For Shattenkirk. To Pietrangelo. The drive. Tipped by Backes up in the air. Canucks clear it to the boards. And Pietrangelo takes a shot from Richardson. That will do it.
It was a hack and a whack at the end by Richardson on Pietrangelo. And Pietrangelo taking exception to it. Couple of good chances by the Blues to tie this up. It started with some good speed by Chris Stewart, just blowing by everybody on the line change by Vancouver. Maybe he has a chance to go right to the net on Eddie Lack, but he pulls back up, makes a good pass, and the Blues have a good shot from the point. But it's Vancouver that comes away with 2 points, their second win of the year against the mighty Blues.
And the Blues see their 7-game winning streak come to an end.
Here's the play in the corner. Fake shot. Pietrangelo's shot hits a body. Oh, I'm sorry. It goes all the way through to Lack and then springs up in the air. And at that point there, you see it hits the stick blocker way up in the air, and that's Garrison that dives and knocks that puck away. Goal mouth scramble right there.
The Blues outshoot the Canucks 31-22, but lose 2-1. Coming up next, Missouri Lottery. Blues Live. Stay with us here on Fox Sports Midwest.